Killers of the Flower Moon is the latest movie directed by Martin Scorsese. It tells the grim story of the Osage murders in early 1900s Oklahoma. The film stars Leonardo DiCaprio as a veteran who comes to the area seeking out his wealthy uncle, played by Robert De Niro. His uncle soon brings him into a dark plot that involves manipulating almost every institution of the town against its Native American inhabitants. The goal of these horrendous crimes is to deprive the Osage people of a substantial amount of money that comes from the oil beneath their feet. And at the center of this horror is Lily Gladstone's Molly, a Native American woman whose complicated relationship with DiCaprio's Ernest is the focal point of the entire movie. Now, full disclosure, Martin Scorsese is my favorite director of all time. He's made a seemingly endless number of cinematic classics, ranging from biopics to crime thrillers and everything in between. He's not just the mob movie guy, and he's been doing this for half a century. I say all of this because the story involving these murders is an incredibly dark chapter of American history. It's one that demands respect and attention to detail, and based off of what I read about this movie's production, Scorsese understood the gravity of this assignment and consulted with the Osage people to get it as right as possible. Now, I refer to this film as challenging in the video's title, and I meant that in several ways. For starters, this is perhaps the darkest film Scorsese has made yet, or at least the darkest that I've seen. Its subject matter is weighty, and there's a feeling of immense dread that permeates nearly every frame. We as the audience are helpless bystanders to these murders, watching as the situation continues to worsen. Just when we think we've seen the most horrendous display of injustice, another example of corruption rears its head. It's meant to put you in the shoes of the Osage citizens. Their hopelessness becomes our hopelessness. This darkness is of course one of the ways in which it is challenging, but another way is the manner in which the narrative is presented. The title is called Killers of the Flower Moon, so as expected, we are viewing this story primarily from the murderers' perspectives. Their vile crimes are tracked in great detail, mainly those having to do with Ernest, DiCaprio's character. Ernest is a simpleton, a man who is seemingly pushed along by others. He can be told to perform a task, and then, with great certainty, he is able to convince himself that it was his decision all along to make those choices. And it's his passivity which creates a complicated array of feelings towards him, especially with regards to his marriage with Molly. Lily Gladstone is the beating heart of the film, and I truly believe she is deserving of the Best Actress spot. While Killers of the Flower Moon does not follow her point of view entirely, the movie simply would not work without her. The relationship between the two is as fascinating as it is heartbreaking, and the ambiguity surrounding what exactly each of the pair is aware of will inspire repeat viewings in the future. Robert De Niro is great as William Hale, but I want to go even further. It's his despicable character who drives the events of the plot forward, and it's the lowest sort of scum imaginable. Now, Scorsese is no stranger to villainous characters, but what separates Hale from someone like Tommy from Goodfellas is presentation. With Tommy, his intentions were made very much clear, sometimes painfully so. William Hale is the kind of man who can shake your hand with a warm smile while plotting the deaths of every family member you have. He's the worst kind of evil imaginable, the kind that's real. And that's what I would ultimately describe Killers of the Flower Moon as, a study of evil, one of the worst evils in recent history. The execution of this vision is presented with excellent cinematography, done by recent Scorsese collaborator Rodrigo Prieto. The landscape is captured with great detail, and the camera work is superb. A technical aspect I did find distracting was some of the ADR work. There were numerous times when a character's words wouldn't quite match the movement of their lips, or their voice level would sound a bit off in the surrounding area. I also did take issue with its length. The movie runs 3.5 hours long, and while the story was well paced, I do feel the second act could have been tightened up a bit. Not to say that any scenes felt as if they were dragging, but I think another go in the editing bay would have strengthened the narrative overall. To sum it up, Killers of the Flower Moon is another masterpiece from Martin Scorsese. It's one that is careful in its approach and is sure to elicit strong reactions from filmgoers. The feeling of dread it captures stayed with me long after the credits rolled, and it will not be leaving my mind anytime soon. I'm going to give Killers of the Flower Moon an A.